عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. اللهم أخرجنا من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمنا بنور الفهم، وافتح علينا بمعرفة العلم وسهل أخلاقنا بالحلم، واجعلنا ممن يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه. اللهم اجعل أعمالنا خالصة لوجهك ولا تجعل فيها حظا لغيرك. وصل اللهم على سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين، والحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Once again, I hope everyone's well, in good spirit. The fast is going well, not too difficult. Alhamdulillah. I don't know what happens with me, but somehow in the fast and I always oversleep. Anyways, this was our Sarf. We carry on from where we left off last week. Allah Ta'ala. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, Maulana.
Okay, so just a second, please. Just a second, please. I don't know if this is working right now or how my sound is. What Allah Alam. This other mic. Right, but let's keep going on our Sarf. I'm really sorry about the delays this morning. We start off by just saying our scales as we usually do, as a revision. So we'll start by the second scale, inshallah. Everybody together, Bismillah. فعل يفعل تفعيلا مفعل مفعل فعل لا تفعل. One more time. فعل يفعل تفعيلا مفعل مفعل فعل لا تفعل. Move on to our next scale, بإذن تعالى. فعل يفعل تفعيلا مفعل مفعل فعل لا تفعل. We then like a new set of root letters for today, inshallah. You can use is عظم. It's called عظم. عظم means to exalt something from the word عظيم. For something to be عظيم means for it to be great, majestic. So here the word عظم will mean to make something great or to exalt something, because this is the second bab, and the second bab has the connotation of what? Causality. Right? So we'll say al-dhama, to enlarge, to magnify, to glorify. All of those are meanings of this word. So let's say al-dhama yu'azzimu ta'ziman mu'azzimun mu'azzamun عظم لا تعظم. Again, عظم يعظم تعظيما معظم معظم عظم لا تعظم. Move on to our next scale. فاعل. Everybody. فاعل يفاعل تفعيلا مفاعل. Sorry. فاعل يفاعل فعالا مفاعلة مفاعل مفاعل فاعل لا تفاعل. Again. فاعل يفاعل فعالا مفاعلة مفاعل مفاعل فاعل لا تفاعل. And on that root letters, on that set of root letters, we can just take one that we've done before. Let's go with حافظ. Say حافظ يحافظ حفاظا محافظة محافظ محافظ حافظ لا تحافظ. Again. حافظ يحافظ حفاظا محافظة محافظ محافظ حافظ لا تحافظ. Our next scale. أفعل. أفعل يفعل إفعالا مفعل مفعل أفعل لا تفعل. Again. أفعل يفعل إفعالا مفعل مفعل أفعل لا تفعل. And on this scale, we can also use the root letters ain, dha, mim that will have the same meaning as the second verb, which means to like attach greatness or importance to something. So we can say أعظم يعظم إعظاما معظم معظم أعظم لا تعظم. Again. أعظم يعظم إعظاما معظم معظم أعظم لا تعظم. Second, first verb. تفعل يتفعل تفعلا متفعل متفعل تفعل لا تتفعل. Again. تفعل يتفعل تفعلا متفعل متفعل تفعل لا تتفعل. And on this one, we can use our root letters ain, dha, mim as well. Yeah, it will mean to be proud. To be proud. Because remember, the fifth bab has the reflexive connotation. Yeah. So again, like with takabbar that we spoke about last week, ta'azzama will mean, to almost put that meaning of greatness on oneself. So ta'azzama, yata'azzamu, تعظما متعظم متعظم تعظم لا تتعظم. Again. تعظم يتعظم تعظما متعظم متعظم تعظم لا تتعظم. And then last week we learned the sixth scale. Well, no, sorry, we did the 7th scale last week, but we'll say the 6th scale now first. تفاعل يتفاعل تفاعلا متفاعل متفاعل تفاعل لا تتفاعل. Again, تفاعل يتفاعل تفاعلا متفاعل متفاعل تفاعل لا تتفاعل. And remember here we had that connotation of feigning something. So this again has that meaning. So ta'adhama again will mean to be arrogant or to have notions of grandeur of oneself, etc. So here we can say and it can also mean to be equally huge from that idea of mutuality, for two things to be equally big. So there's this one can be used with a connotation of feigning something or that connotation of mutuality. That's what. Yeah, we can say تعاظم يتعاظم تعاظما متعاظم تعاظم لا تتعاظم. Again, تعاظم يتعاظم تعاظما متعاظم متعاظم تعاظم لا تتعاظم. One more time. تعاظم يتعاظم تعاظما متعاظم متعاظم تعاظم لا تتعاظم. And then we move on to our last scale that we done last week. It's not the last scale, but it's the one we did last. That is the 7th scale. Everybody can just say it with me. انفعل ينفعل انفعالا منفعل منفعل انفعل لا تنفعل. Again, انفعل ينفعل انفعالا منفعل منفعل انفعل لا تنفعل. And we said that the 7th bab, we didn't really do much of it last week, but we said that it has an intransitive meaning. And that is that the meaning of the 7th bab will take the imagery of the root, but it will apply it in such a way that the action doesn't have a direct object. That the action doesn't have a direct object. We'll see some of those words now in the Arabic through the Quran. Does anybody have any questions that they want to ask? Is that all fine?
Assalamu alaikum, Maulana. Maulana said that this bab don't have an intransitive. So does the ismu maf'ulun go on this bab because you got nobody to transfer it on? The done upon.
Did you guys hear me?
Maulana asked the question. Didn't Maulana hear now?
I thought anybody might.
Can Maulana hear me?
Speak again, please.
Assalamu alaikum. Can Maulana hear me?
We can't hear you now, Maulana.
Now we can't hear from Maulana.
And now?
Now we can hear you.
Yeah. Can Maulana hear us?
I can hear you now, yes.
Okay.
Could you not hear me the whole time?
No, we could hear you. Just when you change something, we couldn't hear you now.
Okay.
But you're a bit softer now that you whatever you've done now, you're a bit softer.
And now? Still softer.
No, it seems fine.
It's a bit better now.
Okay.
Malana, I have a question. Can Malana hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, Malana said this is an intransitive verb. So does the ismu maf'ulun, does it fall onto this verb because there's not a done upon on the thing, is it? Or am I correct there? Or
Yes, Auntie is correct there.
okay.
So, okay, so let me just say, I'm going to phrase the question again so that everybody understands what's being asked, right? So, the question is that since this bab is intransitive in meaning, what do we mean by intransitive? It will not have a done upon, right? It will not have a done upon. Um, since it will not have a done upon a direct object, do we still use the ismul maf'ul, which is basically a noun that conveys the meaning of something to which the action was done? Basically, uh, the name of the done upon, for lack of a more, I'm using that explanation for it because it conveys the meaning that I want to convey most. That's the passive particle. Do we still use that? So some people, when they teach the scale, they leave it out. Right? They'll just leave it out completely. But we don't leave it out. And the reason we don't leave it out is because it does have, you can construct it theoretically, right? And you can use it as well. You can use it as well, but you'll never use it on its own. You'll have to use it coupled with some kind of uh, you will have to use it with some kind of harful jar. And I'll give you an example. Let's go to our al-mazid fihi from the Quran. Right? The first one that we have there says what? ينقلب على عقبيه. ينقلب على عقبيه. What does that mean? Anybody want to give it a go?
Turns back on his heels. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Yes, that's good. ينقلب, he is turning على, upon, عقبيه. عقب is a heel. عقبان is two heels. When it's in nasb jar, it becomes عقبين. But remember, mudaf and mudafun ilayhi, what happens to it? What happens to a mudaf and mudafun ilayhi when it is a plural or a dual or plural? Masculine plural.
The noon fall away.
The noon falls away. That's correct. So here we have not aqibayni, we have aqibay and then a damir attached to it. Aqibayhi. When it's a mudaf, right? That's what happens when it is a mudaf. So that's precisely what we have over here. Now, that's precisely what we have over here. So it means he is turning ala, upon, aqibayhi, his two heels. This is an expression in Arabic which means to like to flee or to desert someone. ينقلب على عقبيه. He's like he's making a 180-degree turn. That's basically what it means. Now, can I use? I just want to show you here how it's possible to use the ismul maf'ul form. you can say, um, I can ask you the question, ما هو منقلب عليه وعليهما. أو ما هو المنقلب عليه. What will that mean? What is the thing upon which was turned, or upon which the turning happened? Then you will tell me, عقباه, his two heels. You understand that? But I can't just use the word just munqalab on its own. I'll say munqalab alayhi. So I use the harful jar after it. Is that understood?
Now, with that being said, is it reasonable for us to have, because I couldn't come up with translations for any of the ismufa maf'uls on the table, because on its own, it just I couldn't make sense of it.
Yes, it does become difficult like that, but it does have a meaning. That's why we still learn
Okay.
it. We construct it theoretically, but it will always have like an implied particle that makes it transitive. Okay.
Maulana,
Yes.
could you possibly interpret it as like the bread was eaten, or in that form?
Yes, you can. You can, because yeah, like for example, you can understand it like that. Is so to be eaten. If there's such a verb as to be eaten, it's not something that is that you see. That's actually to be eaten is more like a majhul. Is more like a majhul meaning, because there is still somebody doing the act of eating. But a better example of it would be maybe uh, to sleep, to sit, or even actually there's many others. To be happy, um, any emotion like that. To be happy, to be sad, all of those will be examples of intransitive verbs. Um you can't do being happy to something. You just be happy. It's intransitive. It doesn't the meaning doesn't go over to a done upon. The meaning stays with the doer. So um I don't know if that answers that question. But so the idea of if you're saying it's the action that it doesn't transfer to a done upon, then why do we have a name of a done upon? I'm saying we theoretically have the name of a done upon because when I use the harf with this verb, then it can make it, then it kind of, then it gives it meaning. So I can say, I turn towards the Kaaba. I, oh, can you guys hear that?
Yes, yes, man.
No, I'm saying, can you guys hear my son singing over here?
Well, no, I didn't need it.
Okay, alhamdulillah. I just wanted to know if I had to tell them to tone it down. But yeah, so I can say, uh, I turned to the Kaaba. I turned to the Kaaba. And then I can ask you, what was the thing that was turned towards? Right? Then you will tell me the Kaaba is the thing that was turned towards. Right? The Kaaba didn't do any turning, so the Kaaba is um, it's not a done upon. Sorry, it's not a doer in any way, but it's the done upon. However, it's not a direct done upon. It's not a direct object. It's the indirect object. So, from that perspective, we can form the passive particle or the word that refers to the object, but it usually will be as well be coupled with a harf because that's what gives it. Uh, that's what it is essentially. It's not a direct object; it's an indirect object, and that harful jar will indicate that. Right? But there are examples of it being used. So let's look. We have here number one. ينقلب على عقبيه. ينقلب, he will turn, or he is turning على عقبيه, upon his heels. Let's look at the next one. انقلبتم على أعقابكم. Okay, this is just the same essentially, except this one is what now? انقلبتم. انقلب is now past tense, and it's plural for the second person. انقلبتم. You turned على, upon أعقابكم. أعقاب is the plural of عقب. You turned upon your heels. You can see this is one of the most common ones in the Quran. The inqalaba, qalb. And we know this meaning of qalb already. Qalaba means to turn something. But anyways. Inna ila rabbina munqalibuna. Indeed, we ila rabbina, to our Lord, we are munqalibuna. We are turners, meaning we are those who turn constantly to our Lord. Number 4. Here's one.
Maaf, Mulana, I just need to check. We didn't do this table yet. I think this probably was going to be homework for today. We did the Bab 6.
Okay.
Yes, Paula.
Hey.
So now, Mona,
Yeah.
there was again a discrepancy between what you said in class and what was emailed to us and WhatsApp.
Okay.
You said we didn't have
Yes,
to
yes,
do
I
it by
remember.
the-
We just did the scale. Yes, I remember. We just did the scale right at the end of the class. And after doing the scale right at the end of the class, I told you just to fill in that those abwab. Just to fill in the words in qalaba, in fajara, in bajasa. That was for homework. We didn't actually have to do the mazid fi from the Quran. That's correct. But what I wanted to do here on this mazid fi from the Quran is I just wanted to show you an example of how you can. I actually flipped to it in answering the question of how you can form the maf'ulun bihi from. No, it's good. How you can form the mazid fihi from. Sorry, how you can form the ismul maf'ul from this verb, despite it being intransitive in nature. Okay, so let's just maybe let's just go through this these skills here while we're waiting for Maulana Yazid. Once Maulana Yazid comes in, he can just let me know. That is here, because I don't see him at the moment. Okay, so let's look at Bab 7 and the skills that we're supposed to do. Can you guys see me?
Now, yes.
Okay, this morning my mind, I don't know what's going on. My mind is just all over the place, man. Then if you can say, as they say, puasa ringat. That's okay, it's still the morning. Anyways, inqalaba. Let's say that scale together, everybody. Inqalaba. Yanqalibu. Inqilaban. Munqalibun. Munqalabun. Inqalib. La tanqalib. Say it again. Inqalaba. Yanqalibu. انقلابا منقلب منقلب انقلب لا تنقلب.
Mahmoud, so in for this one, if you had to try to do a translation, it will be for the maf'ul. It will be the thing that caused one to turn or to return, essentially.
No. So here's the difficulty now. The difficulty here is that you can't actually put down a meaning just like that. There is actually no meaning that you put down just like that. You have to you see, because the word is transitive, it doesn't have a passive particle just like that. You have to, like, for example, if I assume the harf ila, then I will say the thing that was turned towards. The thing that was turned towards. But if I take towards out of there, it's not gonna mean the same thing. Because it's not the thing that was turned. Because the thing that was turned is actually the done upon. I mean the doer, sorry. So that's where the difficulty comes in. You can't actually form a done upon here. So in qalaba you would have translated he turned. Right? Yang qalibu you would have translated as he is turning. Or let's just go with returned. In qalaba he returned. Yang qalibu he is returning. Inqilaban to return. Munqalibun the one who returned. Right? Munqalabun but you see there it's like you can't actually put down a translation.
The
I can say
returned one.
no. Because the one that's returned is the doer here. Right? Because it is an intransitive verb. So that's where this one becomes a bit tricky. You can't actually form a meaning for ismul maf'ul on its own on the seventh verb. You can't do it. But if I had to assume a harf there, munqalab ala or munqalab ila, then I can translate it. The thing that was turned towards, or the thing that was turned upon. Like, for example, I can say he turned upon his heels. Or if I can say he turned towards the Kaaba, then it will have a meaning. But it has to have that harf, right? That allows it to have an indirect object. You understand that? Or is that clear? I'm going to
Yes,
say it again.
Maulana.
Yes, Mulana.
I'm going to say it again, maybe for those people that are not saying yes. When a verb is transitive, it has or it can have a direct object, right? A direct maf'ulun bihi. There doesn't have to be anything between that verb and the maf'ulun bihi. However, when a verb is intransitive, then it cannot have a direct object, right? That means there must be something between the verb and its maf'ulun bihi. Like what? Like a harful jar. Right? And then we'll call it, it doesn't have a direct object. So because the verb on its own can't have an object, it's very difficult to form the ismul maf'ul. In fact, you can't form the ismul maf'ul on its own. To form the ismul maf'ul, you have to imply or understand a harf. Right? And so I don't expect you to necessarily have gotten that right for homework, because everybody could assume different huruf over there. So if you had trouble with that ismul maf'ul column, then don't worry about it. If you didn't have problem with the ismul maf'ul column, then I'm a little bit worried. No, I'm not worried, but I know you would have just tried something over there. But that ism al-maf'ul column should have been a little bit tricky because you can't actually just form it on its own. So let's say the next scale and we can see. Again, in fajara, to gush forth. So let's say again, in fajara, yanfajiru, infijaran, munfajirun, munfajarun, infajir, la tanfajir. Again, infajara, yanfajiru, انفجارا منفجر منفجر انفجر لا تنفجر. I don't know what on earth is going on with my. Is Mullah Yazid in a meeting? No. Okay, then let's just carry on. So, infajara will mean it, or infajara, he gushed forth, or yeah, because he doesn't make sense, we'll say it gushed forth. Yanfajiru, it is gushing forth. Infijaran, to gush forth. Munfajirun, the thing that gushes forth. Munfajarun, the thing that what?
Gushed.
But that's, remember, that's the meaning of the Ismul Fa'il. The thing that gushed forth. So the Ismul Maf'ul should also be a thing. But okay, yes, someone gives, Salim gives the gushed, the thing that was gushed upon. But you see that word upon there is actually indicated by the harf ala. So you can't translate it on its own. But if you add a harf there, like the munfajarun ilay or something like that, then you can give it a translation, but not on its own. So let's just skip that column. Infajir will mean gush forth. La tanfajir, do not gush forth. Next one. In bajasa means it has the same meaning. In bajasa, yan bajisu, in bijasan, munbajisun, munbajasun, in bajis, la tanbajis. Same meaning.
Mark Maulana, on the first one, I think there's a spelling error. We've got
Yes, I see. It's supposed to be in bajasa, like
E3.
all of the others, right? In bajasa. Okay. Right, so we'll stop there for now. I see Mullah Yazid is with us now, so I'm going to hand over to him in a moment. So what I want you to do for homework, inshallah, is do the Mazid fee from the Quran for form number 7, inshallah. And as we said last week, we will go through all of them. We'll take a day or two, maybe next week, you know, or we'll see if we can maybe first just get through the scales and then take a week or something and go through all of these Mazid fee from the Quran. And, you know, just so that we can iron out any issues with them and consolidate the scales that we learn. But for now, the most important part, for me, the most important part is actually just knowing the scales and knowing how to identify the type of word and on which scale it comes from. That for me is the most important part at this point in time. So, inshallah, may Allah make it easy. And we end there for now. Jazakumullahu khairan. Have a good week ahead. Keep us in your du'as, you know, when you break your fast, especially, and at night. And I'll see you guys next week, inshallah. Keep well. Yazid, I'm going to hand over to you now.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Jazakallah khair, Maulana.
Wa alaikum